Hello, everyone, and welcome to Police Off the Cuff Real Crime Stories. I'm your host, retired NYPD Sergeant Bill Cannon, a 27-year veteran of the NYPD. In this Idaho 4 case, the BK case, already been sentenced. Brian Kohberger sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. But more and more documents and more information has been released into the public domain, including the body cam video from 1122 King Road when the police first responded on the early morning hours of November 13th, 2022. So we would get a pretty good idea on what's going on and what the police and what the other residents of the house were feeling and how the word spread throughout Musco, Idaho in regards to this absolutely horrific case. Yesterday we talked about justice in this case, the fact that the families of the Idaho victims, Ethan Chapin and Madison Mogen's family, sued to keep the photographs, the crime scene photographs, to keep them in the government's domain, not released to the public and to the press. But people have sued also or filed paperwork, Freedom of Information Act, Freedom of Information Law, to get these very crime scene photos released to the public. I think it's too intrusive. I don't think the public really has the right to peer into crime scenes, to see horrific blood spatter on the beds, to see the shoes and the clothing of the victims. And even though they redacted some of the things, the family members know what is what and what belongs to who. And just for their well-being, why is it necessary to release these things? I don't know, but we'll look into that. So, folks, hold on to your hats. Hold on to your loved ones. You're about to enter true crime from a police perspective. You're about to enter the off-the-cuff zone, the police off-the-cuff zone.
There has to be some common sense.
They were the ones who called 911 to get him help, and now they're calling for change.
And now a word from our sponsor. FanDuel on the Believe Network is a new sponsor of the Police Off the Cuff podcast. I almost said off the podcast. The Police Off the Cuff podcast. And with FanDuel, they are backed by the NFL, the NBA, Major League Baseball, tennis, PGA, and you can bet these games and these sports games through FanDuel on the website and watch us both on YouTube and on the Believe Network. So we are now talking about, of course, this man here and all the mechanizations of him now being in prison, him suing and him being tormented by other prisoners. But really, when you think about it, he's very unimportant. He's not important at all. What is important is the lives of the Madison Mogen, Kaylee Gonzalez, Zana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin. Those are the things that really matter in this case, not the person that did this. But as this case moves forward, as it's actually solved, but we're getting more and more information released to the public that people are very interested in. And I'm going to play this from Law and Crime, and it's in regards to the body cam videos that are just getting released right now.
Me and my friend are dancing and laughing. Kaylee went upstairs and she screamed because someone's in the room. She ran downstairs, and I kept calling her name and she wouldn't answer. And then I saw the guy. I just locked the door, and I ran downstairs. We don't know what's going on.
Just come here. There's two. Looks like fatalities.
I heard her scream, and she ran downstairs because she saw someone. That's what I'm pretty sure she said. Someone's here, and she screamed and just ran downstairs. And I called for her name, but I jumped up and locked my door because I was so scared. And then I heard someone in the bathroom, and I heard her crying, and I heard some guy say, "You're gonna be okay, I'm gonna help you." And I kept calling her name, but she wasn't answering. And then I opened the door for a second, and I saw this guy, and he was not insanely tall, but he was wearing all black and like this mask, which is covering his forehead and his mouth.
Well, get in town. We've got a quadruple homicide.
Just think right there of all the information. And I would think that that person with her face covered was Dylan Mortensen, talking about the encounter with the man wearing the black mask. You know, what she heard in regards to Kaylee Gonzalez screaming. Different things were said. And we had spoken about how Dylan Mortensen, her statement should have been locked down that day. But they interviewed her not just once, numerous times. But usually the first interview is the most reliable one. That's when the person giving the information is remembering it better. It's fresher in their mind. However, this is so horrific to hear even the officers say on their body cam when they're calling in to their office, we have a quadruple homicide. I don't know if that's ever been said before in Moscow, Idaho. Probably not in the history of the town, history of maybe of Idaho. It's a rare occurrence for any city, any town in this great country. But as the officer went over there and said, we have a quadruple homicide. Think of what that was like, even for the people that live in Moscow. How shocking. And how this must have put the entire town, the entire university community in really a state of panic that they had to be told there was a quadruple homicide inside 1122 King Road, and the perpetrator is still at large. That's one of the scariest things. He's inside the radio car as they're responding. You hear the radio chatter as they drive toward the crime scene location. Talk about an adrenaline-producing sound, especially for former law enforcement. You hear that, and it brings you right back to what was going on that early morning. And it's just, they're going to arrive at the crime scene and then go inside that house where they've been told that something absolutely horrific has just happened. And they're pulling up right now to 1122 King Road. And it's just, the officer's stepping out of the car right now. And this is what he's greeted with. Other police cars, of course, getting out equipment that he needs to process this crime scene. So just, and there's students right, and
I'm 13.
now this is a lot more graphic, of course, than you even saw the crime scene photos. It's just
Dude,
something that you really can't imagine that the police are greeted with as they walk in. More officers show up, of course, and every one of them has body cam video, body-worn video as it's known, as all different levels of police.
you know
the crime scene unit and all the officers as it gets out there.
here.
What has happened at this
Can
house?
you guys go over to the dumpster for me, please?
He's clearing out 5 students from in front of the house, the officer is, as they, you know, when you walk through a crime scene, you have to be concerned with the protection of life. Is there anyone still alive inside there? That's the number one priority to find out before you clear it and let everyone know that it's safe to go inside. And then you got to limit the amount of people that go inside, because don't forget, the scene can get contaminated by the amount of people that walk in. An officer is going through the crime scene. It's partially blacked out right now because I'm sure they don't want to publish the actual bodies on this body-worn video. So that's been redacted. But you can see the officers walking through the crime scene, which is, of course, procedure to make sure that there's no one still alive. The protection of life is, you can see the officers announcing themselves. Or a perpetrator. Could there still be a perpetrator if they don't want any surprise from someone that could be there, that could be alive? So that's why they're announcing themselves.
Dude.
And what they're finding is horrifying to the officers. I don't know if anyone in Moscow ever witnessed a quadruple murder. And this is what they're finding as they walk through the crime scene.
We're clear.
1122 King Road.
Let me just secure the outside first. So.
The front door.
There's a back entry. I was going to start taping it all off.
So they're securing the crime scene right now. You can see there's a lot of things to do, and there needs to be someone who is taking charge to let everyone know what should be done first. That stuff is quite important. So you can hear and see the confusion in this event, which is absolutely horrific, that these officers are walking through this crime scene, yet they're at the same time, they're professional as all hell, because they realize they have to secure this crime scene in order to get a successful conclusion to, at some point, which would be, this was November 13th, 2022. I believe December 30th, 2022, Brian Kohberger was arrested and charged with these murders. So all the work that they're doing, all the work that you're seeing them do on their body-worn video are things that they're doing, things they were trained to do in order to protect this crime scene. Look, if the crime scene wasn't protected, was there potential that the DNA on the button of the knife sheath would have been destroyed? You bet. You bet. If too many people handled it, if it wasn't invoiced correctly, handled correctly, put in the proper paper bag where evidence of forensic value is put in paper, not plastic, because that can degrade the evidence. So all of these things are things that the officers learned in their training. This crime scene, of course, they want to understand at this point, they don't know how and where did the perpetrator enter this crime scene? Where did he come in? What can they see as far as evidence that's available to the naked eye right now? When they go outside, is there evidence of entry and exit? Where did the perpetrator park his car? Right? And at the same time, whoever is the supervisor, the boss, has to think of a door-to-door canvas as well as a video canvas for all cameras that may have caught something on the cameras. And in fact, this became true because what they did find was the video of the white Hyundai Elantra, right? So important to preserve this crime scene, which is some of the things that they absolutely did. This is from News Nation. I'm going to put this up on the screen. This is the footage that shows white Hyundai Elantra driving around, and a security camera near 1122 King Road caught it. And this became such. Here it is, the video of the car coming in and out. And it does at least 3 passes by the house. So this evidence was so tremendous. And the fact that it caught the perpetrator's car as well as the perpetrator. And there are time stamps, time signals, because there he is going out or circling the house once again. And this gave a tremendous timeline, a time frame to the Moscow police and to investigators, which enabled them also to search cameras that are further away from this area to determine where was this vehicle going? Where did it come from? So all of those things in this video that came from one of the cameras, a ring camera, if you will, from one of the houses right near 1122 King Road, was invaluable. And here comes the perpetrator's car again. Once again, is this second or third time he's come through. And the last time, of course, he shrieks away at a high rate of speed to escape, undoubtedly, what were the quadruple murders that took place at the location on November 13th, 2022. So, again, this video, invaluable, and that was probably his second or third pass because he wasn't going fast as if he was escaping from the crime scene after he killed 4 people. And by his own admission, we know that now, we didn't know this then, that BK, as he's been come to be known, killed these 4 students, Kaylee Gonzalez, Madison Logan, Ethan Chapin, and Zana Canodal. And here's another, the Dodge Dash driver comes in. We remember that. That was also evidence that was captured by this ring camera. So tremendous evidence, tremendous amount of information that are covered in this video. And this enabled many things in regards to investigation to take place. And at some point, I believe it was on November 29, 2022, a security guard at Washington State University tied that white Hyundai Elantra to a Brian Kohberger, who was a graduate student at Washington State University. So that was probably the first time, even though the police in Moscow seemed to have amnesia about that, that was the first time that the name Brian Kohberger came up. And then it's just a video that is escaping the scene. But that was the first time the name came up. And so when was it that they actually had probable cause against BK or Brian Kohberger? Was it from the identification from the Washington State University security officer? Or was it when they collected the DNA, the garbage DNA from Pennsylvania that came back to his father and thus gave them probable cause to test Brian Kohberger's DNA and make a match to the button of that knife sheath? So these are questions that we all have, but these are questions now that we're getting answers to. Not like we would have if this case would have went to trial, but like we would have had if witnesses were put up on the stands and everything. But we're getting information, of course, that's been released by the police at this late time, this late date. Folks, police off the cuff, FanDuel. On Tuesday, August 26th, it's FanDuel Futures Day, a new holiday for football fans. It's 24 hours of deals on all your football season predictions. So take a flyer on the MVP race. Who's your pick for MVP of the NFL? Crown your champion in August. Who is your pick to win the Super Bowl? Or parlay your division winner, dark horses. Mark your calendars. This is your day for your hunches, your hot takes, your calls, and your odds. Visit the FanDuel app and start playing your futures bets now, because Futures Day is one day and one day only. FanDuel, play your game. This is a disclaimer. You must be 21 and present in select states for canvas and affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit FanDuel.com. RG, call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut, or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-New York or text Hope New York in New York. FanDuel, the newest sponsor of the Police Off the Cuff podcast. So watching all of this body cam video and the video of the vehicle, it really gives us an ideas that we really didn't initially have in regards to what was going on in this house when the police pulled up. Let's not forget that these murders occurred at between 04:10 and 04:22, and then the killer sped away. And then 911 wasn't called until about 9 o'clock in the morning, earlier morning. So all of that time had gone by. And so the police missed certain opportunities by not getting there in a timely fashion because they were never called. This is an officer going through the house. Again, a lot of redacted video here, but you get an idea of the urgency here and what they're looking at, the crime scenes, and it's just absolutely horrific. There you can see they're going through the kitchen. You see the sliding glass door there. That was determined to be the area of entrance and exit. But again, we would have expected to find fingerprints, blood, and apparently they found none of that there. So these were areas where the killer, Brian Kohberger, must have taken great precautions to cover his body, both with gloves and his clothing with something like a big suit that went over his clothing. And that would have been some of the evidence that he would have chosen to get rid of rather quickly, because none of it was found.
There. Do you want me to go back there and start IDing?
Here's some officers going up the stairs, talking amongst each other. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of cohesiveness right now in regards to this processing this crime scene. There's undoubtedly lots of confusion on the part of the officers. And look, this is a major investigation. So who is going to take control of the crime scene? I don't know if it was determined early on. Well, in homicides, the jurisdiction that covers the location is the jurisdiction of note, that they will be the ones that catch this case. They would be the ones that have responsibility for this case. Did they ask for help? Minute one, they called in the FBI. They called in the state police. This was an all hands on deck situation. The Moscow police wanted help. They did not shy away from help. They realized this was a huge case, a huge investigation, and they needed help, and they got help. And undoubtedly, that the help of the FBI, the help of the Idaho State Police, no doubt was some of the things that enabled the Moscow police to come up with the leads that they had and to come up with a perpetrator. Within 5.5, 6 weeks, someone was under arrest. Back to the body cam video. So they're still in front of the house. The students, there's 5 students right in front. You can see there's a lot of people on the block. There's canvases going on, talking to people. So this is really early on. Again, we could see more crime scene investigators with their little bags of crime scene tools to process this scene. This scene was undoubtedly a complicated scene to process. And you talk about, well, who is the lead agency? Who's going to take control here? What are we seeing? Where are we starting? Are we starting around the perimeter of the house? Or are we starting where the most significant evidence is and go out from there? there's all different types of search methods in the crime scene world. Sometimes crime scene detectives will start where the most significant amount of evidence is, and that would be, of course, where the bodies were found. And then they would go out from that way. Sometimes the search of a crime scene, crime scenes get searched. They would do something almost like a concentric circle. Start from the interior and work your way out toward the exterior, And then, of course, there needs to be perimeter searches of the land and the location and canvases of the people. Did anyone here see anything? And then, of course, we get to which bore probably the most fruit, the video canvas, which found the video that turned out to be BK's car. So it turned out to be his car. And that in itself was tremendous, tremendous evidence. Evidence that probably scared off the defense from taking this to trial.
We can get that eventually.
Her dad's name.
Yeah, you got
And
the
then Ethan.
walking to it.
E-E-T-H-A-N.
And Chapin, C-H-A-P-I-N.
Hey, real fast. She's saying this morning around 4. There's a guy, black mask, was in there. She didn't recognize him. She heard girls screaming upstairs. She got scared, locked herself in the room. And then the screaming all stopped. She's pretty sure that this masked person went out that back. Okay. And right now I'm getting all victim information. She knows the other 2 girls are up there. I haven't told her.
You can hear the officers talking. They're talking about what Dylan Mortensen said to them. So this is very early on in the investigation. And then at some point, of course, Dylan Mortensen has to be brought into the station house and interviewed by the detectives. So this body cam video gives us a good idea of what they had, what time they got there, how confusing the scene was, and how they secured the scene and got all the evidence that they could collect. And I'm sure the crime scene was locked down probably for weeks. It was locked down because they could always go back in there. And you have to always secure the scene and as to how many people are allowed inside that scene because you don't want it to get contaminated. So, folks, that is the body cam video that the officers were wearing and some of the information it gave us that came out earlier, but now we're seeing it, getting it from the horse's mouth, if you will. Anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Bill Cannon from Police Off the Cuff Real Crime Scenes, Real Crime Stories. If you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, hit the like button, share us with your friends and your family, and make lots of comments. Have a great day, everyone. God bless.
One episode just ain't enough.